Hey guys, how's it going? So I just wanted to make a quick video for you kind of introducing STATA, kind of help you get familiar with kind of the format and how it's made up and why it might be useful to us, and also how you can access it. And you can reference this video anytime you need a refresher and need to remember how to get to it. And so hopefully this will be a little bit helpful for you. So we can actually access STATA remotely by going to apps.byu.edu. So that means that you can access it from your computer anytime, anywhere. And BYU has this website that will let you use it. You can see here that the apps website has the Creative Cloud, Adobe Creative Cloud, some stats and math applications, and also some Microsoft Office. And so we would click on stats and math and go to STATA. So you can also access STATA from most computers on campus. I think any computer in the library, the statistics lab on the first floor of the Swicket, and then also our lab computer, they all have STATA. So you can use those, and you can also use it on your own computer. So when you log in, here, I'll log off just to show you what it looks like. So when you log in, the login screen will look like this. So we'll ask you for your net ID and password, so log on there. And then it should come up with a screen that looks like this. And it will ask you to either, it will look kind of like this. It will ask you to use the light version or download the Citrix receiver. And so I would recommend downloading the Citrix receiver if you're wanting to use this on your own computer, because it kind of just makes it a lot easier format to deal with. If you use the light version, what's going to happen is STATA will pop up inside of your browser window here. And so it's a little bit smaller space. If you download the Citrix receiver, then when you pull up those apps, when you pull up STATA, it will just pull up like a normal app on your computer, like Microsoft Word or like Chrome. And so it will take up the full range of your screen, and so you'll get a little bit more out of it. It will be a little bit easier to use, so I would recommend doing that. So here I've downloaded it. After you download it, here the installer will pop up. Just agree and install, and here I'll just pause the video while this is installing. Great, so now I have the Citrix receiver installed, and should let me, yeah, here it's just checking, and then I should be able to launch STATA with the receiver. Okay, we have STATA, so this will take a second to launch, I think. Okay, here we go. So STATA can be a really useful statistics application because it's a great mid-level application for doing your stats. And what I mean by mid-level is it requires some code, but just very simple code. So if you look here, it might not look as friendly as SPSS. SPSS, you're used to using these drop-downs a lot. Sometimes I call it point and click. So you're just pointing and clicking to do all your statistics. Here in STATA, we will write out our code a lot more like this. So this is a regression formula, the regression code. And so you have to write out all your commands, but in the end it makes it a lot better than SPSS. I think you get more control over what you want to do, and you'll once you learn the code, then you can type it faster. Do it easier than SPSS. And there are some applications that are even less friendly looking than this. There's less interface. It's just a box, and you just type in all of your code, like for example R or SAS. And those ones people like because it gives you control over everything that you're doing. You get to write your own code, but they have somewhat of a learning curve to figure out how to use them. So STATA is great because it requires some code, but the code is pretty simple, and once you get down a few basic things, then you're doing pretty good. So just to start, I want to show you a couple basic things with STATA. So STATA has three basic screens. This is what we call the console, and then I'll also show you a do file editor and the data editor. So this is the button we'll do for do file. This is the button we'll do for the data editor. We'll get there in a second. So this is what the console looks like. And I'll show you how these work with some illustrative data. So let me just pull this up here. So this is some research that Dr. Hardy has been working on. I've been working on it with him. We're using the Flourishing Families data set. And so today the basic variables that we'll look at is self-regulation and religion, and kind of see how they interplay with each other. So, sorry, my mouse isn't working. Okay, so there's a couple different parts of the console. Here you have the output. So this part right here is when you type in code here, then the output will come in here. You can type in your code here, the command box. Over here, you have kind of a history of your commands. So if you want to repeat anything, you can just click up here and it will repeat your, you can click on anywhere in your history and it will repeat that command. Over here we have a list of variables. So for this data set, it's really long, but this can be useful, especially if you expand it a little bit. You can look at what the variable names are and then also what the labels are. So here we have CH10, so that's child's age at age 10. Okay, just because of our format, we have these weird variables at the beginning, but here we have P1 Parmon 510, so that's the fifth item of parental monitoring for parent 1 at age 10. And you can also look at the label here, and it shows it down here as well. I know how my child spends money. So down here is just a little bit of information of your variables up here, kind of the type, format, value label, things like that. It's not really too important, but accessing these variable names here can be helpful. You can also search for one. So I'm like, oh, I want P1 Parmon 5. So it gives you that item at every age. This is a longitudinal data set, so we have ages 10 through 23 for some items. So you can see that same item at every age. It can be useful. Okay, great. So this is the console. You can write code, see output, repeat commands, have a history over here, and see file names. Here is what we call a do file. This is where you want to do most of your work. Anytime that we type code, we can type it here into the console, but it's a lot easier to just type it into a do file, because then we can save the do file and use it again later. So anytime that I type code into here, oh shoot, I'm so sorry. Gotta switch into Korean. One second. Okay, it's in English. Great. Okay. So here, self-reg 15 relevant. So here I've typed some code, and if you run the code in here, you have to highlight it, and then over here is the run operator. Data needs attention. Okay, sorry, I wrote the variable name wrong. This, your bottom thing here, the start bar, should remain there. So you can see here it's disappearing for me. It should stay there, so you should be able to toggle between the different screens more easily than I am right now. This is actually what the variable's called. And if you run that, then you can see that this output came up. Here it shows you what code you ran and the output for that code. And if I have it in here, then I can save it and I can run it anytime that I want. So always write your full code in here, and that's what we'll do for this project. We'll always write the full code in here, and we can save it and use it for later. And then the last screen real quick is the data file editor. Here you can see up here are the variables. Here are the observations for each one, and you can look at them all there. Alright, so that's the basic for what STATA looks like. In the next video, I'll kind of show you how to run some example code and how to use the do file a little bit more. But for now, this should kind of make you feel a little bit more comfortable with what's going on in STATA and how to access it.